Damien, Episode 3, The Deliverer. Now, after last week's episode, which, of course, for my review, I unfortunately did it a week late, and literally just finished doing it, there was a lot of stuff kind of left as to where Damien could really go, what answers he could get, and we find out that pretty much he doesn't get any answers in this episode. He learns the tiniest bit of information, a little bit of stuff. We get to meet quite a few new characters actually in this episode. All of them bad guys. Well, I would assume all bad guys, because we meet this random woman. We don't get her name or anything. She just, once Damien leaves the house, she kind of just walks around the corner and like, oh, he took off in a hurry. So random woman with Anne. So we meet her. We met another character who I thought was going to be important because he's trying to go after Damien, but he already got killed off. So, they kind of stuck with the sort of one death per episode type of deal. And then we meet Herschel. I'm just going to call him Herschel because the actor who's the older guy who has like the gray hair and everything, he was in The Walking Dead as Herschel for like 3 seasons or something crazy. So that's the only name I'm going to remember him by because that's what I know him as. So I'm just going to call him Herschel. But he didn't have that big of a role. It was kind of just his introduction, him talking with Damien. Damien actually went to him, but we do find out that he is like actually involved with everything that's going on with him as far as knowing he's like the Antichrist and all that stuff. So that I thought was pretty interesting. So he was kind of like he was kind of like this guy that Damien went to a little bit for help, but he was kind of just trying to get some extra info. And then we find out he is completely involved with everything. He already knew who he was and his powers and all that stuff ever since he was a young child. So I don't know where that's gonna lead. It still seems like he's more of a good guy compared to Rutledge, who really does seem like she wants Damien to kind of embrace his evil power, which she certainly played it off really well when he was like spying on her, and she pushed the guy, but of course she fell back and acted like he did something to her, and so she had Damien kind of run after him, and she's like he could take out your daughter and this and that, and I just like the way that played out, and she did it really well. It's like, oh, don't chase him and stuff like that, and of course that's exactly what she wanted. So very devious stuff like that is kind of even though they both might know, it kind of shows like she's definitely on the evil side of things, but Herschel may or may not be. So I kind of like the way that played out, though. I love that chase scene, like when the way that it all played out, and he actually saves this kid, and the guy still died, which blew my mind because I thought he was gonna escape. And it was the funniest thing when he fell. I was like, oh, that's hilarious that he just fell because he tripped. It just looked funny to me. And then I was like, oh, he's about to die because his tie got caught in the thing, and it actually killed him. And it was even bloodier than I thought because there's no reason he should have been like chopped up or anything. I was like, oh man, his tie is going to be caught in there. He can't undo it because it's like, being pulled, so he can't undo it. And I thought it was just going to get to the end and kind of suck the tie in, and he'd try to fight it off, but it would just choke him to death and he would continue to struggle. But instead he gets pulled in and his face just gets all chopped up and stuff. I was like, that shouldn't have happened, but of course, it's the Omen, so, falling in line with the Omen, it was pretty bloody. And I guess it should be bloody, it shouldn't be simple. It should be fairly over the top, but I was very surprised by that. Damien ends up saving this young boy, and the guy still gets killed. The music starts playing right after he trips, and I was like, oh, he's done. Like, that's game over for that guy. And so, of course, with that death, we have another mysterious, crazy incident that takes place around Damien, and the cop who came in the last episode, he's doing all this investigative stuff, and he's going over the crime from the last episode. He's going over the 2 deaths from the first episode, which he finds out are both actually related to Damien, which he had no idea about. And so he's doing these investigations because, like, alright, 3 freak accidents, 2 of which were in the exact same day. The next accident was, I guess it was a week later because I just assume it wasn't the very next day they instantly had a funeral. So, you have these 3 accidents and stuff, and even when he hears about Damien saving the kid and everything, he decides, alright, he talks about the other accident was like totally unrelated, but he decides, alright, boss told me to give it up, and he realizes he feels like he has, no real connection. He saved a kid's life. So he gets up, And they had the dog early on in the episode. They have the dog just waiting there. I was like, all right, I'm assuming he's still going to end up getting attacked. And I thought they were going to give up on it for a second because once he got up out of the chair and it was like, all right, I guess, I might look into it later, but for now, he has, not much else. He's a hero at this point. Sure, I'll let it go. And I thought he'd be able to kind of walk out of there. And that dog came up at him and it tries to take him down. And I really thought they were going to pull off two deaths, but he actually survives because he kills the dog. And now we have to see where that goes because, of course, the first case was the older guy, the teacher, dying, and it was because of the dog. So it's like he knows something weird is happening. And I'm sure because Damien's involved in all three deaths, he's going to try to connect the dots. And I mean, considering he's a cop, he might be able to continue to survive. But who knows? I mean, obviously, if it was more than one dog, he would have been dead. Because that's the only reason he made it anyway, is because the dog was on one arm and he could use the other one for the handgun. So he might have more and more dogs sent after him. I don't see why, there wouldn't just be more dogs the next time. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But for now, he's survived. So he has avoided being killed off too soon, which kind of lets us know he's going to survive. He's going to be a main character for this season, at least for a while. I would assume he's going to be doing a lot of the police investigations while Damien's friends continue to do sort of their own personal investigation, which we get a little glimpse at. It was really like one scene, and I really have to get the names because I still just call them his friends. But his ex-girlfriend's sister, she goes to the father and everything, and she gets hit with a vision of the heart bleeding from the statue. And the funniest thing is that when the whole thing was bleeding and everything, and she was like, "You have to see this," I thought the whole thing was fake. I didn't think the heart had 6 little knives in it. I thought all of that was fake. I just thought the statue was there. And then she went back. I was like, oh, that actual statue exists. Like, that's a crazy statue to have. And I thought that would be a bit much, even for, I mean, they have the, crucifix and everything, but I was like, that seems like a bit much to have a heart literally with the 6 little daggers in it. So I was surprised that whole heart section was even real, but she's been hit with a vision, which means she's getting close enough to start having visions, and she's getting closer and closer to some very dangerous answers. Damien talks with his buddy about how he saw the woman in New York and everything like that. He does, of course, doesn't go with like she pulled out a chunk of my hair and I saw 666 on my head, but he talks with him about it a little bit and like I didn't Photoshop her into these pictures. She just appeared, and he doesn't give him all the answers, but he gives him a lead, and I think that's all he really needs because they might have all 3 of these characters end up working together. We're gonna have the cop and we're gonna have his friends, all kind of connecting different dots, and then eventually they'll have to overlap. Of course, I'm sure there'll continue to be more deaths that pile up, so it'll be easier for them to, stay separated. But eventually, his friends are going to get the same lead as the cop, and they're going to end up in the same, area at some point. It probably won't happen for quite a few more episodes, but it's going to have to happen. Eventually, they're all going to get together, and then they might be able to help each other survive, against all sorts of weird, supernatural attacks and just random Rottweilers coming to just bite them to death and stuff like that. So I'm sure they're all fine for quite a while, at least until they meet. I think that's when one of them might die, is when they all 3 of them actually meet to kind of put the story together. But for now, while they're all like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm kind of learning this and I'm kind of learning that, I think all 3 of them are going to be completely fine. And they'll, at least his friends, at least his ex-girlfriend's sister, I think she'll continue to survive because she'll be the one really pushing to figure out the truth. And the cop is just thinking, he's just on like, oh, this guy might have killed these people. And his friends are on like the more supernatural side of things, but especially his ex-girlfriend's sister, whose name I really got to remember because I can't keep calling her that. But I actually enjoyed this episode. I like the way they played it out. I think they did enough new stuff in this one to kind of make it entertaining and keep it a fairly fast pace. Because like I said, with the introduction of the one guy, and his plan was like, to go against Damien, I thought he was going to be the guy from the promo in the scene where Damien is like beating on someone and killing him. as soon as he mentioned going after Damien, I was like, oh, it's gonna end up being this guy that Damien like snaps on and kills. And then of course the chase scene happens and he dies. So that's still some other random person that's gonna get killed off later. But I like what they did with this one. They introduced quite a few new elements. We got two new characters, one of which knows the truth about Damien, or seemingly knows the truth. I mean, he was there with Anne, but she is also just like this powerful person, so he might not actually know anything. He just talked about, him being at the White House and stuff and things like that. Which, when he first said White House, that didn't even dawn on me that he meant the White House. I literally thought he meant a White House, and it just didn't dawn on me whatsoever because I was kind of doing something else, and that was kind of around the time when I realized I didn't do my last review, so I was kind of distracted. And then Anne said it sometime later in the episode, and I was like, they meant the actual White House, which is really, it was like just weird little extra backstory for like his actual mother, weird stuff like that. But it was odd that they didn't seem to go too much into detail about it, but I enjoyed it. I actually liked this episode. I think this one might actually be my favorite so far, just because they did a lot of introductory work with new characters. Plus, they show other characters getting closer to the truth. So we have the cop who's officially attacked, and granted the office was closed. I thought they were going to do it where his boss would show up because he would have at least heard the gunshot in the building, and he would have come back and be like, what the heck just happened? But based on the way it ended, it's like, he killed the dog, and I'm sure, of course, he's going to report that, like, somehow there was a freaking dog in here that attacked me. Same type of dog, that attacked the doctor and everything. And, of course, he's going to find some way to tie that to Damien. I don't know how, but that's who he's going after, and that's what's going to happen. So I am looking forward to this next episode. Seems like more attacks are going to be happening. Unfortunately for me, the recording cut off short in the promo, but it looked like right when he was about to walk towards somebody and start fighting them, that's when it cut short. So he's going to be mad at somebody. We'll probably get some more answers as to who that woman was in the house when Damien left, that kind of just showed up, just walked around the corner, because she knows everything about him too. So still some more answers. Apparently no one has all the answers, but there are definitely some answers out there. Of course, Damien knows who he's meant to be. He shows Anne the symbol on his head, and she has one on her leg that she cuts into herself. So she's pretty freaking happy now because she knows 100% is like, we knew that it was him, but I guess seeing it would just made her really, really happy, I guess, because I was like, I figured she would have known that, but I don't know, she saw the symbol, and I guess that was like, it's a fact. He's not just someone to lead, maybe lead to the Antichrist. He is the Antichrist, and so maybe she didn't officially know that or something like that. I don't know, but I thought it was actually a pretty cool ending. I actually enjoyed this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Curious to see what answers come about, especially from the cop. I'm really curious to see, since he's been attacked and he survived, I definitely want to know where they take his character now, because he's made it. He's lived. He's avoided being taken out by the dog, and he's done it once. But like I said, they could. I would assume they just send more dogs after him. But we'll have to wait and see how all that plays out. But I'm certainly looking forward to it. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and with certain characters getting like some of the most minute answers, really, to get closer to Damien. The cop barely got anything. Damien's friends, they didn't get much either, but with them being on the right trail, like one guy gets attacked, one woman, she actually gets visions and stuff, so like I said, that means they're getting really close. What big answer do you think they're going to actually end up coming up with next? Because Damien doesn't really have any himself, but he knows what he's meant to be, and they don't even know that yet, so I don't think they're going to find out, like, poof, he's the Antichrist, but there's got to be some big step before they reach like the ultimate answer that's gonna lead them to Damien. And I highly doubt they'll end up finding this old woman. That would be weird if she showed up to them. So I highly doubt that'll happen. But I want to know what you guys think is going to be like the next big step for these characters. What big answer are they going to get next that leads to Damien being officially being involved in these murders? Because of course he is. But it's just, for now, it's just really weird accidents keep happening around him. So, definitely want to know your speculations for that. And, of course, what you guys thought about this episode in general. So, please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.